Namaste and a very warm welcome to the Nationalist Madrasi. Today we have a very special guest and we are going to discuss an important topic which is a long pending by this present Modi government, and it is a request made by all these Sanatana well-wishers and the persons who is a well-wishers of the Hindu religion as well. Today we have Sandeep Singh with us, a man who is in the media sector and the man who I can say a media managed person now turned into an author. So he has written 12 books as of now. The last two books are the ones which we are going to discuss about today. That is the temple economics and the economics behind mandirs especially. So it has been into two volumes. Today we are going to discuss about all these two books. Welcome, Sandeep Singh sir. It's a pleasure talking to you offline, and now it's a pleasure talking to you online as well. I must say this is a very important topic. I was searching for a person to discuss about all these things. Thank you for joining with us today. Thank you so much, Sandeep.
Thank you for giving me the platform. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Sir, what made you to write a book on all? This is a very controversial topic, I must say, because whenever the moment you say temple economics or temple release temples from government's control, like there rises a question: what next after this kind of a thing? So we'll discuss about your books in detail. But before that, what made you to write a book on temple economics and the regulation of temples and the control of temples, Sandeep sir?
There are two reasons why I wrote this book. I started writing those book in May 2020. That was the time of Chinese virus that we had. And so the first reason was the Tamil Nadu government passed a resolution kind of thing or a statement saying that all the mandirs should deposit X crores of money in the state exchequer. A lot of Hindus joined it. No central government, neither the central government nor the state government had said that there is a shortage of fund. So there was no reason to take away money from the mandir. But at every occasion, I have seen people want to loot the temple money or the mandir money. And the second reason was that I saw people walking. Like people walked from Mumbai to Gorakhpur, which is by train 1600 kilometer. By road, it will be 2000 kilometer because rail tracks are straight. And similarly, people walked all across the country. And I was shocked. I asked my friends who run marathon, one city to another city they travel, will you walk this much of distance? Everybody said, are you gone crazy? And if you think that what gives that person a confidence that I'll walk through all that distance, and he didn't walk alone. He took his wife, the kids, the elderly parents, if they had pets, and everybody reached home. There's only one incident that people came under the railway because they were walking the track. Unfortunately, rest everybody reached home safe. So imagine just to think I'll walk 1000 kilometer. Where will I sleep? Where will I eat? What will happen to my family? But where does this confidence comes? That security, because he knows that the society and the mandir on the way will take care. And that is what happened. Mandirs provided them the food. The society provided them the food. It's just that our mandirs don't go around tom-tomming, marketing how many people we feed. And everybody reached. But more important question was also that where does that confidence to walk so many kilometers? Then I realized that, we walk Tirth Yatra, Pandharpur, Vaishno Devi, Amarnath is going on. Now Kamar Yatra, Shabrimala you walk, Ganga Sagar you walk. So people walk, these are the people who walk actually for Tirth Yatra. And that gives them the confidence that yes, I can walk. I'm in my own country, my own society, my mandirs are there to take care. That gives me that I must document, and that's the reason why, these are the two reasons precisely why I wrote this book.
Sir, it's a 2-volume book. I'll go chapter wise and I have prepared a set of questions as well. So volume 1 mostly deal upon the Arth Vyavastha of Mandirs. That is the, in modern terms, you call it as the economy. We call it as economy of the Mandirs especially. So you have begun with a strong emphasis on using words like mandir instead of temple and Arth Vyavastha instead of economics. So what is the deeper philosophical or the civilizational message in reclaiming our own vocabulary, we must say? Because these are the terms which have been mentioned in the older period time, we can say, because maybe now we can call some mandir like Jagannath Mandir, Ram Mandir, something like that in this temple. But probably the word temple has been used in a very longer term, or wherever you say in North India, we especially call it as Dham, Char Dham, Do Dham, something like that. So what made you to think of going back of these kinds of words, sir?
See, basically, I wanted to understand the meaning. So I looked at temple. What does it mean? And that's where it hit me really hard, because a Christian goes to a church, Muslim goes to a mosque, very small population of Jews, their place of worship is called synagogue. But what is temple? Temple definition, one definition is a place where people collect to worship. So, all that 100 crores of Hindus' place of worship doesn't have a name. It's just a common thing if in English temple. So if you can call church, mosque, synagogues, then we need to have a specific temple for 100 crores people where they go and worship. The second part is that in some definitions, temple is a place of worship of pagans or pagans. We are a living civilization. Pagan or pagans are old civilizations. They don't exist. Mayan, Roman, Greco-Roman, Egyptian. And not only that, temple, as I said, they define where people collect to worship. In mandir, we don't only collect to worship. So when we establish, or what we call concretion of a murti, what we do is that we do pran pratishtha. We invite deity to come and stay. And when a Sarvajanik puja happens, so before Visarjan, we request the deity to leave, because now we'll be taking the murti for Visarjan. So once the deity is invited to come and deity stays there, then it's a house of the deity, it's the abode of the deity. So it has to be called by the correct name. So let's call it mandir, devalaya, or kovil in Tamil, but not temple. Temple is not the right word, and we must have a correct name for our place of worship and the house of our Bhagwan or God.
Got it.
So the second, you talked about Arth Vyavastha.
So this even for it is very tough actually to pronounce it. Actually, economics is thoda sa simple, we can say.
No, agreed. See, Arth Vyavastha, and this is a Sanskrit word. It's just that we don't use it. Why I say is that Arth Vyavastha. So Arth comes with us for Dharma, Arth, Karma. It's bounded with Dharma. And there's a basic difference, because economics is more or less related with GDP, which is a very new term, 1933 coined, because there wasn't that much of wealth in Europe or America to measure it also. So they needed GDP. But what's the problem? Today's days, GDP is measured. I've mentioned in the book, one of the latest report of IMF. So they have a problem is that some of the countries in Europe don't report exact contribution to GDP from prostitution.
Okay.
So that is what we say. Economics and GDP don't have ethics, morality, or dharma in them. Even so, if a bomb is dropped, so the reconstruction will happen. If people fall sick, they will eat medicine, so this will contribute to GDP. So economics and GDP are dharma, have got nothing to do with dharma. From wherever money comes, but Arth, when you say, it is bounded by dharma. So what we say in Sanskrit or Hindi, we don't say only profit, labh. We'll say shubh labh.
Okay.
It has to be auspicious profit. If you have harmed somebody to make money, that profit is not acceptable, is not welcome. So what we always write is shubh labh. So that is what Arth Vyavastha is, and because it's bounded by dharma. That's the basic difference why I say we need to call it Arth Vyavastha.
And can you walk us through what do you mean by Mandir Arth Vyavastha, and how it is broader just than temple donations or the rituals which is happening over there? So can you walk us through a little bit, sir?
So normally what we see is that this message is going around on newspaper headline, this mandir itna chadava, so much of contribution was made.
Tirupati,
Palani
in Tamil
and
Nadu.
then you see this news, Tirupati is richest mandir, or Kerala Mandira, Padmanabha Swami. Somebody will say Jagannath Puri is richest, somebody will say some other. But that's quite a stupid competition, comparison, and a statement to make. Because mandirs are not to be measured in terms of money and wealth. They are spiritual places, they are place of bhakti, that's how they should be looked at it. Money is just a byproduct. Because there is too much of focus on this revenue part of it, or the temple economics, it will lead to a situation where our people will one day start making a list that this temple is profitable, this mandir is not, so let's break this. This money profitably mindset made somebody buy ghee in Tirupati Mandir at 350 rupees kg.
Okay.
Whoever seen a cow for a week will for sure know that, the ghee from a cow's milk you can't get in 350 rupees per kg.
Okay.
So this economics process and the temple economics has driven them to tender, low cost tender has to be taken. So everything will be destroyed if you follow this madness, So I'll tell you how Mandir economics works, and I'll give an example. So Detroit in USA is called the city of modern economics because the first assembly line car manufacturing started there. And that's where the whole MBA that we study management concept came from. But you'll be surprised is that after 100 years today, Detroit is called a dying city. Their population is 1/4 of what it was in 1925. And even after several attempts, they have not been able to revive. If you search on internet, ghost towns or rust belt of USA, it's Detroit.
Okay.
So what happened? Because Detroit was the place where car was being manufactured. So slowly car people started manufacturing better and cheaper in Japan, Korea, Philippines, India. So whole car manufacturing shifted and the city died. And in fact, if you look at any industrial economy like in Europe, Russia, China, just type ghost towns, you'll get a big list of cities.
Okay.
Because they are industrial products, somebody started making cheaper, better, or a replacement, and the cities dies. On the other hand, if you look some of the oldest living civilization or living cities, I'll explain what is it. You'll find the name of Pushkarji, Ujjainji, Ayodhyaji, Kashiji, Rameshwaramji. These are the places. But there is no industry. So how did it survive? Because all of them have mandirs.
Okay.
So obviously there is a mandir-based earth because money is important. So then the next question comes is that, so is there any product based on mandir? So I'll give another example. So think of a sari, any name of a sari. Banarsi, Kanjivaram, Sambalpuri, Dhakeshwari. Each sari comes from a place where there is a mandir of a Devi. And there's a strong linkage to it. So in a Banarsi sari, only in the motifs, the same flower petals will be there, which is offered to Devi Parvati. In Kanjivaram sari, the same flowers and petals will be there, which is offered to Devi Meenakshi there. Not only that, the border of the sari has a shikhar, or what you call the gopurams of mandir from where they come from. So each place, like in north, south, or even in Bengal, there are different kind of shikhars, the top of the mandir, gopurams, what you say, because the kind of rock available there, in the soil and the ecosystem, that's how we'll decide what structure you will build. And in the saris from those regions, you'll find the same. So if you ask a lady, how does she identify as a Banarsi or a Kanjivaram, she'll tell you this is the design which tells. So that's the strength, and how sari is closely linked to Hindutva was first identified by Portuguese, which most of us still don't know.
Seriously?
So they said, in Goa, they had a huge conversion, we all know.
Yeah.
Like they used to kill kids in front of the parents if they don't convert and all those things. So one of their conclusion was, as long as the people wear sari there, they won't convert.
Okay.
So they put a ban for almost their rule 200 years on weaving and wearing of sari. But sari survived in Goa.
Okay.
Because the weavers there used to weave sari in the night in the basement. And the women used to wear it only in the night. 200 years, it will be 10, 15 generations. Imagine the sacrifice our elders, our forefathers have made for every small thing. That is something which we need to respect and always remember. So that is how it tells. And there are several such products which comes from mandir. So to conclude this part, I told you is that how modern economy is different, how mandir-based economy is different, and how there is a mandir-based product also.
Got it.
And coming to one of the other factors is that what I talked, living cities. Now it's very important. See, people still live in Egypt, but they don't know who built the pyramids, why they built, and they can't build a similar pyramids.
Okay.
We have temples or mandirs which are older than 1,000 years. Take
Tanjavur big temple.
we can still build similar mandirs of Bradeshwar. We built Sri Ram Mandir temple without cement, without iron, because that knowledge has been passed down to us from generation after generation after generation by our forefathers to our forefathers. And that's how we are a proof example that we are a living civilization. And we are the only living civilization. I think I keep saying we Hindus should have a bit of arrogance about this.
Definitely, Sandeep ji. And how does the categorization of bandis by deity, posture, origin, and function impact their design and the economic role in their society? Because every temple has their own economic role in their society. Because recently, maybe from in the past 4 years, like after COVID, two corridors has been more than two, like Ujjain corridor, Mahakal corridor has been built, Kashi with Vishwanath corridor has been built during COVID. Ram Mandir, the corridor has been built over there. These are the cities which are known to us. Apart from this, what kind of an economic impression happens within the temple surrounded areas? And one thing is that, and what impact have they given in the economic role in society, Sandeep ji?
So let me tell you. So there are different ways to classify a mandir: the height, the construction. So there are many ways. In book, I have given some 12, 13, and that's not all. But just for example, here I'll tell you that some are called Swayambhu, where the statue has been found or the shivling is found on its own. Some places are where we know that some important act took place by the Devi Devtas like Vaishno Devi. Some are created by holy people or the kings. How does it impact the local economy? Let me give you Tirth Yatra. Now, Kamar Yatra is on. Now, see, crores of people walk. So, like in Haridwar district itself, for example, I'm sure more than crore people go there during Kawar. For easier sake, we said let 50 lakh people went. We all know people walk. There are rules, regulation, what you will eat, what you don't, Even if 50 lakh people spend 1,000 rupees, imagine the money spent in that district in that 15 days period or a 30 days period. Got it. 50 lakh into 1,000, Imagine if the government has to distribute that money, how much administrative has to be set up, and 80% money will get into administrative expenses. Now this guy walks, So he will buy the money from the poorest of poor who has opened the shop there. And he'll buy the small doll handicraft products while coming back home. So that whole money has been churned in that district. So what used to happen is that we have some city-specific fairs, we have district-specific fairs, then region-specific, like Pandharpur, 3-4, Pandharpur, Maharashtra and surrounding bordering 3-4 states. But then there is something called Amarnath or a Kumbh, where people come from all over Bharat. So the whole
all over the world also.
All over the world now. So the whole money moves from the economic perspective, if you look. So whatever money someone has earned, say from Chennai, if he comes all the way to Kumbh in Ujjain, he's been spending money on the way. While going back, he's spending, So the money which is earned in Chennai and money which is being earned, say, in Kashi or Ujjain, gets distributed on the pathway or the person is coming. He would have stayed somewhere, he would have bought food. So that whole economic huge churn used to take place, apart from the message which sadhu and saints used to give in the Kumbh, used to pass through the people. So every activity has a huge economic impact.
So we'll move on to the next chapter, that is the destruction of Mandir and its earth vyavastha. I'll call it economy here for this shorter term, but even I'll try to practice calling earth vyavastha. So the destruction of Mandir and its earth vyavastha. So what were the specific economic and cultural damages done to the temple ecosystem during the Islamic invasions? Because a lot of temple in the north, Somnath, Kashi Vishwanath, Mathura, or when Ram Janmabhoomi, so whatever you take, there will be some invasions or there will be some destructions by the either or the other king. So can you give us a case from North or South India, like how these temples ecosystems have been damaged culturally as well as economically?
So let's take case of Varanasi, because it's been attacked systematically. Why I talk Varanasi is very interesting, that people attacked every invader, Turk, Mongol, Afghani, whoever came. People talk about Rajia Sultan. short regime, after taking over, the first thing she did, she broke the mandir at Kashi. So that was the biggest thing. And the best part is that the Hindus never gave up. They kept rebuilding Kashi again and again and again and again. So I'll give you an example of first this. People say that why didn't we fight back together? What happened? So when Aurangzeb was breaking Kashi, and he killed all the Brahmins there, or mostly ran away from there. So to remaining Hindus, he said either you pay jizya or you convert. So the worry was that Hindus will run away from Kashi because they were not in a position to pay jizya and they will not convert. So a king from Karnataka paid the jizya on behalf of the Hindus staying in Varanasi, Kashi, to Aurangzeb. Just imagine, that was the kind of connect. Now people talk at a drop of a hat of a north-south divide. There are so many Kashis in Tamil Nadu. People, I don't know how many, ask why. If they were so different, like some of the politicians make us to believe, why Shiv Kashi and why Tinna Kashi? Tinna is 100.
Yeah.
It's 100 Kashis. That's how it's Tinna comes.
10 is south actually. South
Dakshin's Kashi.
Dakshin's Kashi.
So the argument they said is that Aurangzeb will break one Kashi there, will build hundreds of Kashis in Tamil Nadu.
Okay.
That's how Tinna Kashi, Shiv Kashi, so on and so forth. So that's how the people were, everyone was fighting back in their own different ways. And we also know that Maharaja Ranjit Singh gold-plated it, Devi Ahilyabai built it, King of Nepal built it, Peshwas built it. Once kings from Bengal came and fought and defeated the Muslims invaders and rebuilt the mandir. So Kashi is a classic example that the fight back has been continuous. And what was destroyed, as we said. So as we know that mandir was the center for Gurukuls. So Farman of Aurangzeb was that no Sanskrit scripture should be left and no one reading Sanskrit. That's how he killed all the Brahmins. So the Gurukuls then took the new shape. The Pandits from Karnataka, from Maharashtra went and settled in Kashi. And then the Gurukul's form changed. Then people started teaching students in their own home. The tradition which continues even today. So at one big Gurukul, it means invaders will come and attack. So rather than one Brahmin Guru will keep 1 to 5 to 6 to 10, depending on his capacity, the student at his own home and teach them. So one of the classic laws that we had was the Gurukul changed. And systematic attack, Ayurveda was lost. The research part was lost. So because till then it was a continuous research, continuous evolve. So the mandirs lost because mandir was center of science and research also. So the whole tradition of researching and documenting scientifically the Ayurvedic work which got lost. So these are the two major. There are many, but just to give you an example, these are too many. Many of them were saved, like Sari, but some got destroyed.
Sir, you contrast Aurangzeb and Devi Ahilyabai as well. So what lessons do we learn from how rulers either destroyed or rebuilt mandirs? Because we are we are in the living example of building a top notch or we can see the eighth wonder of the world as well. That is the Ram Janmabhoomi. So I can put it in the present day contrast as well. Like how do you see one is destroying and one is rebuilding it again? So what is the contrast between them? Like how do you define that?
Yeah. Aurangzeb or all the invaders thought that by breaking mandirs they will wipe out Hindus and Hindutva. Okay, so there are two parts to it. Hindus, as I just gave an example, they never gave up. Our forefathers kept fighting, and it's not easy to fight for 800 continuous years. And other civilizations didn't survive. We have survived, The second part is that it's like saying if I break the post office box where you drop the letter, post office is destroyed. It doesn't happen. So by destroying one mandir or hundreds of mandir, you cannot destroy Hindutva.
Exactly.
As I said, we are represented by saffron, which is every day in the sunrise you see it. So as long as sunrise is there, saffron is there, Sanatan is there. So you cannot destroy us. This is a message for the destroyers.
Definitely.
And we are going to come back and reclaim whatever is ours. Up to Afghanistan, I keep saying, every mandir which is there, we'll go and take back. And about Devi Ahilyabai, there are many important things. No one instructed Devi Ahilyabai to go and build mandirs. She thought it's our mandir, it's my mandir, and I'll rebuild it. And that is the faith every Hindu need to inculcate. even if there's a mandir in your neighborhood, there is nobody is going to offer puja, then it is your mandir. You can't point fingers at others. Take initiative. And the second and most important thing that forgive is that they say ki British united Bharat. So Devi Ahilyabai has built mandirs right from Kedarnath to Tamil Nadu, east to west, whichever part of India you go. She was not the queen of all these places. There were different rulers, different kings. But the moment Devi Ahilyabai come and says ki I'll build a mandir, she has open access. No one objected. Because we are one nation culturally and we knew that we are one people. So that's a bigger example. And what one Devi Ahilyabai can do, I keep saying it today, we have so many rich business people. And I'm sure some of them are doing. The one name which comes top of mind is Ambanis have done real good work in terms of mandirs. I see a lot of other industrialists and the rich people need to come back and stop preaching secularism and go back to their roots and start building mandirs and reconstructing whichever are broken.
So, how did the British colonial administration change the role of mandir, sir? Especially cutting off their links with the community service, education, even artisanal economics. Like, because you rightly mentioned the word of British United Bharat. There have been many lies, or even say utopia, something like that. So, but they tried to separate that the mandirs and the religion and even the Indians as well.
Yeah.
So, what role did they change in the administration of mandirs? Like, what's your take on that?
See, so what I call is that normally we call it a Islamic invasion, the Mughal, Turks, and we call the British invasion and the Portuguese invasion, which should be ideally called as a Christian invasion. That's how I write in the book. And they were as ruthless as Islamic rulers when it came to mandirs. But the good part in terms of or smartness of British was that they were the first one to recognize the importance of contribution of mandir in the economy. And they wanted to shift the capital from Madurai to Chennai because they know that Sifuji Maharaj was there. If you have to demonstrate control, have your own capital. And when they set up Madras, not many people were willing to come and stay there. So they invited businessmen and they gave them the land to build mandirs.
Okay.
And that's how the Madras got set up.
Mm.
Because people came, build mandirs, and once a mandir is there. In fact, in Tamil, there is a saying, you shouldn't stay where there is no mandir.
Exactly.
So that's how the people come and stay. Then that's how Madras got set up. So they realized the value of mandir in the economy. Then slowly they realized that they can use the mandir to take control of the small kingdoms. So one of the finest example is that they tied up with the pujaris of Jagannath Puri Mandir. So one of the pujaris from whom they met in Calcutta sent a letter, you should align with British, they are good people. And all the pujaris started supporting them. And their idea was that British will support them to throw away the Maratha. Okay. And give them back the mandir. That's what British promised. So they won over Marathas, but they never gave back the mandir and they started doing all kind of atrocities. So the pujaris realized and they revolted against the British. So British hanged 52 pujaris of Jagannath Puri Mandir from a tree in front of the mandir. Okay. And their body was not allowed to be cremated. It hung for months there. That was the message. But also parallelly what happened is that that was the stupidity of Hindus of that time. Many of them, they fought for mandir money on the property and they went to British to resolve the issue. And it became that story of monkey and two cats, asked them to split the bread in equal. So they got the chance for British to get into the mandir, and slowly they knew that this is how they can control people. And after British, and even what happened parallelly, in the freedom movement, a lot of freedom fighters used mandir as a space. Especially the Congress was at the front, especially in Tamil Nadu. And all the Congress leaders controlled mandirs also. And that's how the DMK guys realized that it's important to control mandirs to win elections. And that's how they got into it. And that's how the turn shift happened. And once they control the mandir, they control everything. And we know what situation mandirs are in Tamil Nadu today.
Exactly. That can be a separate podcast which we can do. But there is lots and lots of cases we can discuss about that, Sandeep ji. So yes, you propose restoring 10 aspects of mandir. Arth Vyavastha, that is the economics, rituals, festivals, prasad, pilgrimage, etc. So, which one do you feel that the greatest revival potential of today's time or period, we can say, Sandeep ji?
I'll give you two examples. Just to give two aspects of it. One is of prasad. Normally, people say, ki, if you'll build a mandir, will I get food? So my answer is yes. The food that we eat today in Bharat or India is because of mandirs. Like if you go out in the market today, you won't find our traditional variety of guava or papaya. The guavas have come, which are this huge, tasteless. They don't survive more than 2 or 3 days. And in fact, 3 days back, I bought a 1 kg. I ate one, and rest I had to throw because next day it was all fungused. So they are the way they are being produced artificially. They don't have longevity. They don't have taste, and in a way they have killed our traditional variety of guava, papaya, and so on and so forth. Similar is the case if you realize that tomato, potato, cabbage flower, and cauliflower are not our traditional vegetables. They were imposed in a way by British. British forced farmers or sometimes paid them to grow potato. But still, our Indian vegetables have survived. The reason being, in mandirs like Puri or Mathura, which I'm sure in other older mandirs also, they don't use cabbage, tomato, potato, cauliflower as a prasad. And it's a very important part. Let me take you to a bigger example. So there was a time when we had lakhs of varieties of rice in this country, which could grow in 2-inch water, which could grow in 12-inch of water. When Green Revolution happened, everybody discarded them and everybody moved to hybrid varieties. Today, we have lost most of the variety. M.S. Swaminathan Research Institute did a study, and they figured out in Orissa only those rice varieties have survived which are used for the religious purpose.
Okay.
So in a Jagannath Mandir, you offer a different rice every day. So it might look like it's a fashionable ritual, aristocratic, but no, there's a bigger science behind it. It was to preserve our seed varieties. Now, how does the government preserve? Government has to create something called Indian Council for Agriculture Research. It will go to Leh, dig some 60 meter deep, create a cabin which will have a temperature of -30, -60 something, and it will preserve the seed. And similarly, internationally, the seed is preserved, I think, in Switzerland, similar way. Why? Because if, pralay happens, then how everybody is doomed. So whoever will be left can again take up those seeds and make life. So our gopurams used to be huge at top and empty, what we say. Actually, there used to be stored seeds there. Because if a flood comes, the pralay is generally flood. So it won't reach at that height. And so people who will be left, they can use those seeds to eat and again grow food. So there's a huge science behind it, what we say as a prasad. And the second aspect of it, I say, is that I'm not against non-veg or veg. One should eat what it likes. But we had a traditional system of bali, sacrifice of animal. So how it's so important for surviving of Hindus? How cleverly it has been killed by in every mandir. So direct action day, 16th August, when Hindus were butchered systematically in Calcutta. After second 1.5 day, Gopal Patha rose and he started butchering Muslims who have been killing Hindus. And a number of people were killed, like 300 Oriya laborers were killed in one factory. They were burned. Many people were butchered. So how after 3 days, Suwardi, Gandhi, everybody had to request Gopal Patha that stop the retaliation. They were surprised and shocked that a Hindu can come and butcher. So why did Gopal Patha could do? Because he was a meat seller. He was used to carry that heavy equipment. He was used to cutting a head and he was used to seeing blood. And that's how he could retaliate. So they realized that as long as Hindus have this habit, they won't be killed them. So very systematically, because the goat rearing was done by Muslims, the goat skin was bought back. That's a part of the business by the Muslims. So they started offering goats at a higher price to Hindu meat seller. They stopped buying the skin or buying at a lower price. So to survive, the meat seller had to sell the goat meat at a higher price. Obviously, Hindus said it's expensive and I'll go and buy from a Muslim meat seller. And that's how the whole process stopped dying in a way. And it was alive in mandirs by offering bali, which is being systematically killed. So it is not about taking someone's life. It is like a soldier practices firing, So when you offer a bali, you are used to carrying that equipment, you are used to carrying a head, cut a head and seeing the blood. So when a civilizational war comes, the civilization should be prepared to fight back.
So very well put up, Sandeep ji. And what is your view on temple trust run by the devotees? I mean, this is going to be very controversial. Versus the government appointed boards. We have HRNC in Tamil Nadu, and meanwhile there are states which are trying to move the government out of temple. Let's say Uttarakhand is trying, like dams will be out of temple's control, something like that. And whatever, like wherever if we do something, there will be any sort of complaints, any sort of controversies upon that. Either it is government involved or it is private involved. We have seen like public administered mandirs also. If I'm not wrong, Akshardham is one of the publicly administered mandir as well. And so there are administration like that. And so in Tamil we used to tell it as agama. So temples which are governed under agama, so they follow a set of rules. They are under the under the purview of government as well. So how does one get a clarity, or one try to understand like what would be the difference which would make when it is governed by a private entity or a private body or a private person, and the government headed by the government? What's your take on that, sir? And what advantage it gives, like apart from the government handled government headed bodies, sir?
See, there are good temples and bad temples administered by private people as well as by government. So it's very difficult to segregate, like there are some government institutions which are good, some are bad, some private institutions are good, some are bad. Same thing is applicable for mandirs. My argument is very simple, government has no business to run mandirs. It's simple as that. Now the arguments given are that how and who will manage the mandirs, and if you go out, it will be destroyed completely. So it is like British saying, if you leave India, these people will kill each other and destroy.
Okay.
It didn't happen. And one of us went and became a prime minister of Britain. So that argument doesn't hold good. Second, this government is only 75 years old. Our mandirs are older than 1,000 years. And they have seen people like Aurangzeb. So who was managing mandirs? So obviously this government exists or doesn't exist, our mandir will be there.
Exactly.
The third question, who will manage? So in this country, mandirs have always been managed by the society. Question comes is that there will be a problem. So there is no institution or an individual in whose life there are no problems. There are ups and downs and you correct it. We fall sick, correct it. So even in a life of a mandir, there will be a problem sometime and we'll have to correct it. And the society stands for it. I have given an example in Jharkhand in a mandir 3-4 years back now. There was a problem. People got together, threw away the trustees, they manage it. To give you a bigger example, Tarakeshwar Mandir in West Bengal, there was a Mathadis which became a corrupt. There was a lot of problem. To throw away him, the movement was led by Chittaranjan Das and Subhash Chandra Bose. And people changed that. And I think again there is an issue and again there should be a movement. So people are capable of managing the mandirs. We have been managing it for thousands of years. This government is 75 years old. So government has no business. What difference will it make? Now let me give you 2 examples. I was talking to a group of people in Maharashtra, trustees in mandir, and I had to tell them that every district in Maharashtra there will be a mandir which is more than 1,000 crores of money. And I said in every district there are farmers who are committing suicide for 5,000, 6,000 rupees. It is that farmer and his forefathers who would have contributed money in the mandir. Why do we contribute mandir? It's not that we don't know that God is not going to come and take that money. We give that money is that mandir will take care of a larger Hindu society. That's one collective place.
Definitely.
And it's the mandir's responsibility to look after the Hindus. So earlier there was a system that the main pujari used to go out and meet people and record. That was the Vanshavali, who is in which village. And people used to come and update. So that's how he used to know who was having what problem. And we have in Jwalamukhi Mandir, I've given an example. People have asked money for everything, wedding, medicine, and Mandir is to give. And since the Mandir money, people used to give back. If somebody was really poor, Mandir is to waive that off. How to use that Mandir money is for the Hindu cause, not to build school, colleges, hospitals. It's not that they have not built. We have an example of a mathas. They have built 114 institutes. If you look at Chinmaya Mission, look at ISKCON, they have operate Mandir, Chinmaya Mission, done so many schools. So they all are part of extended Mandir. The question comes ki they should be going to the welfare activity, but what kind of? I take this example of that Ashokan, whose daughter was converted. He fought the case. He won it till High Court. Then PFI moved to Supreme Court. And they spent close to 1 crore. They paid some 72 odd lakh or 55 lakh to Kapil Sibal. Where did that PFI get that money from? It's zakat money. It's the masjid's money, and they have right to use how they use. The same money, and look at a Hindu parent, where does he get money? Ashokan should have been funded by our mandirs. And there are several such examples you see. Now, 189 people died in Bombay blast, and nobody is guilty. Where is a Hindu mandir fighting that case? Siddhivinayak is in Mumbai. Mumba Devi Mandir is in Mumbai. Mahalakshmi Mandir is in Mumbai. It's a cause of Hindus. You need to have best of the lawyers and to monitor it. I and my forefathers are giving money. You and every Hindu's forefathers giving money for our cause only. So we need to broaden our perspective and horizon ki how mandir money needs to be used. And this awareness we need to create.
So I think like the laws of Mandir and the ecosystem post-independence, like where all these HRNC took the control and other things as well. So I'll go back to that. And what kind of a damage did the so-called secular governance inflict on Mandirs, especially after 1947? Because I mean, prominent all these like political commentators and Hindu activists would have said this: the Hindu money or the temple money should be used only for the Hindus, not for the other religions as well. Especially when it comes to the temple's money, it should not be used for the other religious purposes. It is way ahead happening in Tamil Nadu. I can say this. So you have written a special chapter on the laws of Mandir ecosystem post independence. So what is the way forward for that, Sandeep ji? How can we be accountable? I mean, like, how can the Hindus knows that the government is accountable?
See, we need to start asking question. Like now, we started asking question from Archaeological Survey of India. Because the best way, instead of directly breaking the mandir, second best way was to give it to Archaeological Survey of India. They'll put it locked. They will say you can't pray and worship because it will damage this part and damage that part of it. Whichever was under their maintenance, things were falling down, not properly maintained. I've given a huge list. The visiting hours will be restricted. So all possible different ways. Other way is that have an entry ticket. So look at the way you won't manage it properly. You will tell you can't offer puja. You put a restriction by putting an entry ticket. So common Hindu is all disappointed. Now people have started asking this question. So the best thing that Hindu can do is that whenever you see a mandir which is being wronged in a certain way, be vocal, speak about it. Nobody is going to come from another city to help you. Like nobody is going to from Delhi to Chennai or Bangalore to Mumbai to help somebody to manage their mandir. The mandir is next to your house. It is your responsibility to stand for it. And once every Hindu starts doing it, things will start falling in place. Start visiting. So we go to a mandir and we come back out of rushing, looking at a darshan. Have we looked at the sculpture? Have we tried to look at the history? Have we tried to look at the Sthal Puran? Have we tried to read the Agama? There are so many fascinating things you'll know about your own civilization, which you'll be proud of. You'll try to figure out the science related to it. And so there is so much of learning to it. So we need to start looking at mandir not only as a place of darshan and run away from there.
Sir, can you explain like how mandirs used to offer services beyond spiritual? Because there are places where ashrams are there. There are places where educations are there. There are places where legal arbitrations are there. There are places where irrigations are there. If you go to any of these forest dwelled areas or the agriculture lands, definitely irrigation would be a part of that as well. So how mandirs are being taken or offered apart from the spiritual services, sir?
Yeah, so traditionally, if you look, there are inscriptions in South where if any land was not fertile, it was given to Mandir. Mandir used to arrange irrigation and make it fertile and distribute it back to villagers. So that is one of the job. We talked about education, we talked about Ayurveda. Uh, I talked about the clothes, textile. So everything that you think, see has come out. Let me give another example. We talked about murti. So every stage of a mandir contributes to the economy or earth. So let's take example of Natraj. Bharat Mandapam, there is one. There is one in CERN where the research on black hole is happening. Now, very interesting that why did it kept it at CERN where the research on black hole is happening? Because Frijit of Capra wrote a book called Tao of Physics. I think it was in 1990s. And Carl Sagan did a show where he recorded it again. That the Natraj represents the construction and destruction of the world. Now just look at this beautiful things. One, our ancestors knew so much that the world is constructed and deconstructed and again constructed. Second, to capture this whole thing in a sculpture form, which people after thousands of years will be able to understand it, right? So it's the second part. The astronomy they understood, they understood the art. Now look at the Natraj Murti is made by lost wax technology. That is said only 4,500 is old technology. It means our forefathers knew it 4,500 years back. And again, this knowledge has been passed down to us generation after generation, to our forefathers, Another example of living civilization. So our mandirs were center of technology. Metallurgy was there, right? Now, to understand astronomy, what you need? You have to have a basic why Greco-Roman civilization or Mayan were so advanced, but the calendars were not perfect. Only our calendars are perfect. Because Christian calendar followed solar movement. Islamic calendar follows lunar movement. Only Hindu calendar follows both. Our year is solar, 365 days. Months are based on lunar movement, months movement. And we could do it because we had an understanding of zero and place value of decimal. Now, to Europe, it took, like in normal say, we say World War I and World War II. In maths, they say there is a Maths War I and Maths War II. So to Europe, it took some 300 or 500 years to understand zero, because everything was controlled there by church. Science, we all know it. So zero is a very philosophical thing which we normally don't consider thing, whether it's empty or it compasses 1 to 9. So it took them 500 years. Then comes integral calculus, which we call now Kerala School of Mathematics, which is 0 to infinity.
Got it.
Now the guy couldn't understand zero, asking him to understand infinity is, so it took them another 300 years. How could we understand it so easily? So Manjul Bhargav, who won field medal, talks about a shlok with which he has solved all the puzzles, which is Purnamida, which basically says if you take full out of full or add something which is full, it will remain full. So which we offer as a Shanti mantra, which is basically as the puzzle of solving the biggest of mathematics. And the oldest inscription of zero in the world is found in a mandir in Gwalior.
Okay.
So where one religious place couldn't understand it, our whole science evolves from there. And not only that, so if you understand zero, you understand astronomy, you understand latitude and longitude. That's why Ujjain we have Mahakal, because time was measured from Ujjain. That's why it is called Mahakal. It was a Greenwich Mean Time. Again, Natraj comes, construction, reconstruction. So how everything is linked to it. And that's how we could understand latitude and longitude. And that's why we're so good in navigation. So if you go to the Somnath Mandir, there's a pillar which says from there to till South Pole, there is no landmass in between. Now imagine somebody went all the way to South Pole and came back alive to tell that. And 2 people might have gone to verify it also. And today also, if you just go on internet, you'll find that going to South Pole is more expensive than going to Moon. Because of the harsh conditions, you need far more preparation. And our ancestors did it. And that's how we dominated the sea. So we had such a solar Surya Mandir at Somnath. We had one in Konark. We had one in Kashmir, which has been broken. And there was one in south in Tamil Nadu, which is submerged. And that's how we have dominated sea. And that's why Hind Mahasagar or Indian Ocean, the only ocean named after the country.
Definitely.
So just see how everything linked. You start from a very small point. So mandir gave us everything, including our identity.
So yes, sir, we'll go move on to the volume 2, that is the decade for Mandirs. So you have envisioned yourself, I mean, the call for action for a decade for Mandirs for 10 years. So what is the framework we have to do, let's say from 2025 to 2035, and what's your vision for that?
See, I have given some 35 solutions. There are different solutions. So, like just to give you one example of it, is that normally we see a mandir is being broken and people surrounding it are just watching it. You can't do it with a church or a mosque. We know what will happen. So why people have known that kind of connect? It's not that they don't have love for mandir or their Bhagwan. It's just that mandir has become isolated from the society, and this has happened from the attack going on. So slowly it got isolated. So I think is that we need to connect more with the society. Some mandirs are already doing it. So I'll just one simple example which people can adopt after hearing it maybe or listening to it is there will be a lot of poor people surrounding Hindus, maybe non-Hindus, whose birthday is not being celebrated. Why don't bring those kids and celebrate their birthday? Light a diya and organize a bhajan. And I'm sure every mandir will have somebody who can offer a jalebi and a samosa for the kids' birthday party. That's how you start building association.
Definitely.
If somebody wants to, our mandirs were one of the initial, what I call venture capitalists. I gave you example how they made the land fertile. So if somebody wants to offer a painting or a bhajan, they should be given space in mandir. That is for the society. You need to connect with people. So when I say give a decade, is that I say it doesn't matter whether you are 70 years or 20 years old or 80 years old, you are a male or a female or a rich or a poor. You just decide that I'll give 10 years to mandir. Now in the book, I give many things that one can do. But the easiest thing that I ask Hindus is that we should start going to mandir every day. If every Hindu, say 80 crore Hindus in Bharat, starts going to mandir every day once, our 80% or 50% of problems will be solved on its own.
Got it.
We just don't need to do any rocket science to it. So this is the smallest thing that one can do. That's the request I make.
So what practical steps do you propose for the devotees, volunteers, or even dharmic entrepreneurs to reclaim their mandirs? Because at the end of the day, everyone should feel that okay, it is a part of a family, or it is our land, it is our entity, or it is our mandirs. But Hindus have a less feeling about that. It is our property,
Yeah.
or our land, or our entity. So what solution or what suggestions would you
Yeah.
give, sir?
I'll tell you a slight background how we arrived at that. That will help understand the solution. So after, as I said, Islamic invasion, British control, we lost control of mandir. Then the government took over. And if you look at least my father and grandfather's generation after independence, they're busy building the earth or the economy of the country. The license Raj was killed everything. But now we have reached a stage that we have money. Now I see youngsters experimenting it. So there are two kind of people. There will be one who will do podcast on temple economics. There will be one who will be busy visiting bars, and the rock shows. I'm not saying you should not visit the rock shows, but one must take out time for what is civilizationally theirs. To come back to understand that this mandir belongs to them, their forefathers have contributed for it. And this is what we have the responsibility for our progenies, what the coming generation we are leaving for. They have fought people like Aurangzeb. I gave the example of Goa, with the kind of sacrifice everybody has made. So we need to preserve this. We are the only living civilization. So start visiting mandirs, and once you start visiting mandirs, you'll start getting ideas.
Okay.
Start reading about the mandirs. You will have your own thoughts because each mandir is unique. Each mandir's the way of offering puja is different. The way you offer puja to Shiv, you don't offer to Devi. The way you offer puja to Krishna, you don't offer to Bhagwan Ram. So you start understanding there is a science, there is a psychology, there is so many things into it, and you will be surprised.
So out of 75 plus case studies in your book, from Madurai Jasmine to Tirupati Laddus, what story struck you most deeply, sir?
The one I talked to you about, the prasad, which I mentioned, the one I talked about halal also has touched me. Besides that, if you look everything, I never thought maths and science are so close to our murti and the zero which link, So I'm mesmerized by all 75, and over a period, I realized that I've missed so many, which I'll have to add them in the second edition of it. Is that how our mandirs, we have survived this 5,000, 25,000, whatever time period of Hindu civilization, if you take, we have survived because of mandirs. Such a unique institution which could control everything of a society's life, from your birth to death, your food to medicine, your mathematics to extreme science. But no field remains untouched from mandir. And that's the most fascinating part of it. So very difficult to say which part of the mandir I like. I love every aspect of it.
So, sir, can you share some examples where community-led temple ecosystem that has been revived or resisted? Because I think the best example is Karnataka, where mutt has been controlled by the especially the caste leaders. Let's say Lingayat
Correct.
community controls their mutt,
Correct.
and Gauda community controls their
Yeah.
own temples as well.
Correct.
Out of that, some of them are controlled by the government as such.
Correct.
So we can keep on saying like that. So what special example can you give, because where successfully a community-led temple ecosystem has been revived, sir?
Revived. The one Karnataka you gave. You move to Gujarat, we have Swaminarayan temples. They have managed it beautifully. Akshardham, they have managed it beautifully. And look at the other side of it, the Chinmaya missions or the ISKCONs.
Okay.
So I say every model is good. The question comes is that who is managing it?
Okay.
And the people around it, are they questioning if something wrong is going on?
When Sadhguru is managing,
Sadhguru is managing. So every model is perfect as long as, see, anything related to mandir can't be bad. Because the way Agama Shastra have defined how mandirs to be managed, it has to be good. It can go wrong only if the administrators are going wrong. And to put them is right is that visit everyday mandir. If there is something wrong going, speak for it.
That's
so
it.
all models are good.
Definitely. So the devotee's role and the dharma which is there. So what is the role of the youth in this revival? Are the youth thinking about the temple's revival, or do they have a thought that my temple is facing these kinds of a problem in the present day?
See, I'll tell you very frankly, the amount of knowledge today's youth has about mandirs, I didn't have. So for example, when I was in +2 or +3, I didn't know so much about mandirs as much as today's youth knows. It could be for various reasons. Social media, there are a lot of people who are talking. There were earlier not many people who were talking. I see a lot of young people also writing books on mandir, young people doing podcasts on mandir. I saw in Kumbh, so many youth went. So I asked some of them, my friends' kids, that, it was a torturous thing. You had to walk 14 kilometers. We took bath in the winter, the cold water. And I was shocked. They said, no, it's a perfect, we enjoyed it. This will go the next time, we'll visit all. So they had that adhyatmic or a spiritual feeling, once they visited it. So as I said, today the youth is doing so much about mandir. So people coming from my generation, for us, it's a very happy thing. It's a responsibility to spread it, more awareness, and we will keep doing it. So I'm sure the more youth comes to know about it, the youth understands, appreciates it. If I can answer them logically, what the questions they have about mandir, and then they become the strongest brand ambassadors for it. So I had no complaints, except that it's our responsibility to make youth aware about different facets of mandir, and that we should keep striving to do.
So is there a spiritual obligation as per dharma to support one's mandir, not just with devotion but also with participation? Because at the end of the day, participation is very, very important. We live in a time of an online era where things have been, support are raised. It's in the online, but ground level participation or issue level participation becomes null and void, or there is zero participation, I can say, to some extent. People are there, but at the end of the day, they have their devotees in mind, and they have their heart for the temples and other issues. So what's your take on that, sir? How do you insist or push for the participation of
So I'll give you two examples, two small stories that will tell you how it affects. So today people have gone down to online darshan, will donate money. It doesn't work.
Okay.
Mandir needs your bhakti.
Okay.
We all know that Bhagwan is everywhere. We can close our eyes, do meditation. So if you want to do something for Mandir, it has to be physical, and I'll give two examples. So during British era, there was a British officer in Madurai. The Madurai Mandir is in between his office and residence. So every day he used to cross the Mandir twice while going to office and coming back. So since he was a British, he wouldn't go inside the Mandir, but he realized that it's a place of worship. So he used to take out his hat and bow his head and walk like a normal British does. He never entered inside a Mandir. He would have done it for 12, 13 years. Then one rainy season, there was a huge rain, lightning happening. He heard a small kid in his house wearing payal or a ghungru, running around. So he got up to look which girl has got inside. And he saw a young girl, a small girl. She ran out of the house in that rain. And this guy chased her out. He ran after the little kid. And the moment he stepped out, the lightning fell on the house and the house was completely destroyed. He concluded that Devi had come to save him. So he created that gold Charan Paduka and gave it to the Mandir. It's there in his biography. So how it helps? So, you just have the proper bhakti. Second example comes from V. Krishnamurti. He was called father of public sector units. He is credited to turn around SAIL, BHEL, GAIL and Maruti. He was hounded for a 5,000 or 8,000 rupees expense.
Okay.
The guy who turned around this four company as a chairman. And Rajya Sabha debated, CBI inquiry, he was in a house arrest, all that happened. Pure political vendetta was on him. But he said some people came to meet from his village and told that your family has moved out, all kids. The way it happened, everybody started working outside. But then you have a family mandir and it's in a bad shape and you all must come and look after it. He said, my wife took over the initiative, all the brothers, sisters. We raised the money, we got the mandir built. And one fine day, all the cases were scrapped by the court. And he says, others believe or may not believe, but I think that was the karma which was due for me and I had to do. So it depends how you look at it. But if you have a bhakti, Bhagwan looks at you. That's all I say always.
Sir, I'll like to end our conversation by two questions. So one thing is let's say if someone is very much spiritual, devotional, connected with the Hindu religion, connected with the mandir, but wasn't aware of what is happening behind all these things and lootings, we can say. So what would be the first step would you recommend to know about the temple economics to them? Because a lot of people, maybe when they come to know about it, they know a lot about what is happening. But when it is all about worship and participation or something, praying, something like that. But apart from that, we need to know what is happening inside the ecosystem. So what would you suggest? So where we have to start? For if you have to suggest something to.
What I said is simple, two things.
Okay.
Start visiting mandir every day.
Okay. And
spend some time there. Just don't do darshan, puja, come back. Just watch and observe. Many things are there to be done. Because see, what happens is that normally I've written in the book also. So there's a set of people who will say ki mandir is dirty. They don't understand how a devotee is looking at it, and what is dirty for you is not dirty for someone else. For mandir, if I have gone, sometimes I feel it's so good to feel water inside my feet. In Bombay, everything is cemented. I feel so happy if there are leaves, bargad leaves or people leaf which is there. And people say otherwise I don't feel. So some few people want to make it like a mall or a church. But that's not how I want to see my mandir. So for each one's perception of a mandir is very different. And for each of you, there is a different kind of a mandir. There's a mandir which is very crowded. Like in Delhi, and there is a mandir I went to Birla Mandir, not very crowded. There will be some mandir in Birla Mandir, you have everything neat, clean. So each one will have mandir what is for your need. You go and understand what is the Sthal Puran, what is Agama Shastra says, how this mandir has to be maintained, what is the way of worship. Some mandirs will have Bali, animal sacrifice as a necessity in the Shakti Devi mandir. So don't try to change that. You understand the functioning of mandir. So that's why I say ki once you start going to mandir every day, and for next 10 years, so you won't understand everything on one day or a 15-day period or a 3-month period, Start going regularly, you will understand which are the issues in the mandir, which needs your attention, how to solve it. So don't try to, I'll say, get into research, I'll figure out this is a problem, this is how it will be solved. No, it's not a scientific problem. It's more of a problem of a neglect that we have stopped going. It's like that you don't talk to a friend or a family member in a house, what will happen to him? So that's what we have ignored our mandir. So start going to mandir, sit there, talk to the mandir. Mandirs talk to you.
Got it. Got it, sir. Sir, one last question actually. So now we have seen that the government handling the temple. Number of questions will be raised. What if we give to the private or the community led, or there have been successful models also, or an individual, something like that. What is the way forward? As we all discussed about this in detailed manner, if you give any kind of administration will faces questions, will faces all sort of problems as well. So what is the best model which you suggest for the upcoming generation?
Government should just go out of the mandir.
Okay.
If there is nobody willing to take care of that mandir, let the mandir be destroyed. If from the government perspective, right? As I said, the Hindus living nearby have the responsibility to manage the mandir.
Got it.
It's simple as that. And I believe that the people who ask the questions maximum about what will happen to the mandir's wealth, there are twofold answers. One, I think these are the guys who have never gone to a mandir, never given money. And these are the guys who are the most worried about it. The guy who goes to the mandir, ask him, is he worried about the money he's given? He'll turn back and say, no, I've given this money for the pujari. I know Bhagwan is not going to come and take.
Okay.
So he's very clear what it has been given for. The pujari is aware if he doesn't maintain the mandir properly, people over a period will stop coming. It will happen. It happens. The third part is that why we are so worried about these mandirs which are in 50s, not more than that, in cities which have the wealth. Bharat has lakhs of mandir. You go on the hills, forests, there are many books where authors have written that they were shocked, they carried guns and everything with them to reach that mandir that they might find tiger and lion. And they find that there is one pujari living there in isolation. He gets up at 4, what you call Brahma Muhurt. He does the puja. They ask, are you not scared of animals? He said, why should I be? It's Bhagwan ka mandir. God has asked me to do. My akhada has sent me there. I have to task to do. Nobody asks these questions about those lakhs of mandirs. So this whole money management is about 50, 60 mandirs. So it is a diversionary tactics not to leave the mandir. So mandir have the capacity to manage themselves. As I said, this government is only 75 years old. Our mandirs are more than 1,000 years old. They have seen attackers, invaders of 1,000 years, all kind of, and they have survived because someone or the other in the Hindu society has stood up. And I gave the example of Kashi, right from people from Tamil Nadu to Karnataka to Nepal to West Bengal to Punjab to Maharashtra, everybody stood for it.
Got it.
So it's just a diversionary tactics that what will happen if you leave. Just leave and see.
Got it.
Our healthcare is in God's hand.
So yes, Sandeep ji, it was nice speaking to you, and we have discussed a lot of topics as well. And this is a never-ending conversation. So I hope whenever you come to Delhi next time, we'll have another set of conversations in detail as well.
Thank you.
I think we'll need to take up the case of Tamil Nadu in detail, and then we have to discuss that. That can be in episodes which can be done. So we'll discuss about that in a detailed manner. Sandeep ji, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for giving me a chance.